Hello everyone, welcome to our Strive Edge IAS channel. In this lecture series, we will be discussing the past 1 to 1.5 year of current affairs, the topics and the background. So this series will provide you a crisp and detailed analysis, which will be done by the expert faculties, and it will help you in your upcoming prelims of 2025. So today is the first lecture of Polity, and we've already done the international relations lecture, so you can check that out on the YouTube channel. So let us begin. Today we will be dealing with the parliament, state legislature and local government, that topic, and in that we have a lot of other events going on. So first of all, we'll go through the functioning of the 17th Lok Sabha. So why was that in news? It was because the PRS Legislative Research has released statistics on the functioning of the 17th Lok Sabha from June 2019 to February 2024. And what was the main highlight of the report was that particular Lok Sabha was, it had low productivity, reduced sittings, and lack of parliamentary debates. What were the key highlights of the report? That there were just 274 sittings held with 179 bills passed. Question hour functioned for 60% of the scheduled time in Lok Sabha and 52% in Rajya Sabha. 2020 monsoon session had no question hour due to COVID-19 pandemic. 17th Lok Sabha had the lowest number of sittings among all full-term Lok Sabhas. Deputy Speaker was not elected throughout the tenure, violating Article 93, which mandates the election of both Speaker and Deputy Speaker as soon as may be. Only 16% bills were referred to the parliamentary committees for detailed scrutiny. 35% of bills were passed with less than an hour of discussion, and 80% of the union budget was passed without discussion. So what is important here for the prelims perspective is Deputy Speaker was not elected, and the Article 93, which mandates the election of both the speakers and the Deputy Speaker. So what were the concerns raised? Reduced parliamentary oversight. What we saw is that there was the fewer sittings and a lack of debate and everything. So that had undermined the democratic scrutiny. And there was a decline in committee-based legislation. Important bills were passed without detailed discussions. Why are committees important? Because they give the expert knowledge on that particular topic. For example, if there is a bill on some certain topic, and we cannot expect everybody, all the politicians to be aware of that topic. So there are particular committees based for that matter. Then there is a weakened parliamentary norm. Absence of deputy speaker reflects institutional erosion. So what could be the way forward is revive parliamentary debates by ensuring more sittings, mandate committee referrals for significant bills, and ensure transparency in the budget discussions. All right, let's move on to the next topic. Municipal corporations in India. So why was this in news? Because there was a report on municipal finances, and this was released by the RBI. So what was said in the report? That municipalities generate only 0.6% of GDP. Their contribution to GDP is just 0.6% as compared to 9.2% of the center and 14.6% of the states. Tax revenues form 30% of the income. That is the income of municipalities. Grants and subsidies contribute 24.9%. So what are the challenges to the income of the municipalities? First of all, they have low property tax collection, which is just 56%. Then there is delays in state finance commission recommendations. So whatever the state finance has recommended to the municipalities, that is not been implemented. There is a limited capacity to manage funds, like 61% of utilization of allocated funds in 11 states. So what can be done more? We have to enhance the revenue through GIS-based property tax reforms and improved user fee collection. Diversify funding via municipal bonds and climate finance. Improve human resources by addressing vaccines and vacancies and providing training. So what is important here is the report on municipal finances released by RBI. What we can also talk about are the revenue sources of urban local bodies. So when you study this particular topic, make sure that you also learn the revenue sources. There can be it can be divided into own sources, where they can generate their sources by their own, like the tax revenues, non-tax revenues, other receipts. Then the state provides them with the grants. All right, then they can take loans. Okay, make sure you learn about this also. Let's move on to the next topic. It is the auditing of local bodies, about local self-governance and its audit. So we all know that the 73rd and the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1992 added part 9 in the 11th schedule and 9A in the 12th schedule, which contains provisions on local self-governance. What did it mandate? This particular amendment, that the state governments should constitute panchayats at village, block and district levels and municipalities in form of municipal corporations, municipal councils and nagar panchayats in every region. In 2020, Ministry of Panchayati Raj developed Audit Online application. This Audit Online application was developed under the E-Panchayat Mission Mode project. And why is this particular thing important? Because it consists the audit of the municipalities. So that particular app has been awarded the World Summit on Information Society prizes. In 2023 at the International Telecommunication Union in Geneva. What are the constitutional provisions which deal with these things? Is the Article 243G, which enshrines the basic principle for devolution of power to local bodies. Article 243J, in which the legislature of a state may and by law make provisions with respect to the maintenance of accounts by panchayat and auditing of such accounts. Article 243Z, legislatures of state may by law make provisions with respect to the maintenance of accounts for municipalities and the auditing of such accounts. So for each panchayat and municipalities, we have two different articles, okay, regarding the audit. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, the cabinet committees. So the union government has constituted 8 cabinet committees. All right, so about the cabinet committees, what do we know about them? That they are constituted under the Transaction of Business Rules 1961. So they are called extra constitutional in nature. What do you mean by that? That they are not mentioned in the constitution. And what are the functions? What is their utility? is the cabinet makes use of this committee system to facilitate decision making in specific areas. So what are the 8 cabinet committees that we have? We have the cabinet committee on appointments, accommodation, economic affairs, parliamentary affairs, political affairs, security, investment and growth, skill employment and livelihood. So every time, the once the union cabinet is sworn in and the ministerial portfolios are all allocated, the next step would be the formation of these high profile cabinet committees. So the prime minister sets these up. Okay, and then the specific function is allocated in that particular thing. I would also like to highlight here that the PM heads 6 of these cabinet committees. Okay, and only his. So anytime that he is, whenever PM is a part, he automatically becomes the head of the. Okay, so like I said, he is not a part of the cabinet committee on accommodation, and the cabinet committee on parliamentary affairs. So accommodation is headed by the Ministry of Home Affairs, minister, the Home Minister, and the parliamentary affairs is headed by the Defense Minister. Okay, so this forms a very important part of the prelims. Next, we will deal with the other topic. It is the President Returns Bill passed by Punjab Legislative Assembly. So this was in news. Okay, so what is important here is this particular part, the reservation of state bills for President's consideration. All right, so in what article is it mentioned? In Article 200 of the Constitution. What does it outline? It outlines the governor's power regarding bills passed by the state legislature. Okay, as per which the governor may reserve such bill for president's consideration. Okay, so if the president directs the governor to return the bill to the state legislature for reconsideration, state legislature shall consider it within 6 months and present it again to the president. Okay, so whenever the governor thinks that suppose a state assembly is trying to pass a bill, and it has to have the assent of the governor in case of a state. So if the governor thinks that this particular bill needs a purview of the president as well, so the governor can reserve such bill, okay, according to the Article 200. Okay, and suppose now the president will direct the governor to return the bill to the state legislature. The state legislature shall consider it within the 6 months and represent it again to the president. So now it will not give it again to the governor. So once, what can be concluded from this is that once the governor has, preserved that particular bill for consideration of the president and it has gone to the president, the bill will not again come to the governor. It will directly go to the president. Okay, and also it is not obligatory for the president to give his assent to the reconsidered bill. Okay, so what are the other powers of governor on state bills? That once a bill is passed by the state legislative assembly, it is presented to the governor, who is vested with 4 options. First of all, it can grant assent, which will make the bill to law. Okay, secondly, it can withhold the assent. By withhold, withholding, it will effectively reject the bill. It can return the bill for reconsideration. Like, suppose the government sees that there are some flaws in that particular bill, so the governor can send it for reconsideration again to the state legislative assembly. Okay, so if the assembly again passes the bill again with or without amendment, the governor shall give his assent. And fourth one is where the governor can reserve the bill for the president's consideration. Okay, so this forms a very important part of the prelims exam. Okay, and the powers of governor. So make sure you, whenever you're studying this, you study powers of governors in contrast with the president. Okay, here you can also study about the pardoning power. All right, this is just my suggestion so that you are holistically studying everything.
No doubt, ma'am.
Yes.
Is the death penalty legal in India?
Sorry?
Is the death penalty is legal in India?
It is given in India, right?
For what crime is the death penalty given?
For what crime?
Yes, ma'am.
I think it depends on the court, right?
Okay.
So when we talk about the capital punishment, okay?
Who hold that power, ma'am?
Huh?
Who hold that power? Governor or Supreme Court or judges?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Who hold that power, ma'am? Death sentence? Who gave?
See, it is with the court itself. Okay.
Okay.
But the
Supreme Court.
pardoning power of the death penalty is with the president. It is not with the governor.
Okay.
Okay. So, matlab,
Okay.
suppose if somebody asks for pardon of their death penalty, they can go to the president.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So you study in this contrast. That will help you remember better. Okay. We'll move on to the next. The finances of the Panchayati Raj institutions. So again, you know what is the Panchayati Raj? It was the 73rd constitutional amendment which gave birth basically to the PRI institution. Okay, and it was institutionalized at 3 levels. Okay. So what was the mandate for setting up panchayats? And it was provided in the article 243. So what was the mandate, guys? It was for participatory governance. Okay, so panchayats is a state subject. What is the constitutional provisions for financial empowerment of the panchayats? So we'll deal with the articles. So Article 243H, it provides for finance of the panchayats by the state from the consolidated fund. It empowers panchayats to impose, collect and allocate taxes, duties, tolls and fees. Then we have the Article 243I, which is, it is about setting up a finance commission every 5 years to review the financial position of panchayats and make recommendation to improve their financial position. Then we have the Article 283 BB, which mandates the FCs to recommend measures needed to augment the consolidated fund of the state and supplement panchayat resources to the president. Okay. So what are the sources of the finance for the PRIs? Like I said, in the municipalities, when I was explaining to you guys, they have their internal, that is the own sources. Matlab, they can generate the source on their own. What are they? They are tax revenues from property tax collection, okay, on lands other than agriculture land, buildings, okay, then duties, commodities, service tax on professional trades, etc. So that is in their purview. Secondly, there is the non-tax revenue. What is the non-tax revenue? Which is suppose you're selling something in the panchayat area. Okay, so that particular uska jo fees aega and all of that, the cattle, suppose the fees on registration of the cattle sold, suppose there is some registration happening. Okay, so you must have seen whenever you're trying to register, that particular registration has some fees, suppose 100 rupees, so that is their non-tax revenue. Okay, ek to they have their own sources of revenue. Secondly, they have transfers of fund from the Central Finance Commission and the State Finance Commission. Okay, so ek to they have their own source, then they have transfer. Okay, transfer from where? From the Central Finance Commission and the State Finance Commission. So what are they? They are the tied grants, like they are earmarked for specific purposes. Okay, suppose the Central Finance Commission gives certain amount. Okay, suppose it gives 1,000 crore, which is only specifically for sanitation. So what does this mean? You have to use the 1,000 crores only for sanitation. You cannot use it for anything else. Then there is the untied grants. So these are the general purpose grants. Suppose now 1,000 crores are given. For what you can use? You can use for anything. Anything that the panchayat needs. Okay. Then we have the performance based grants. So based on the performance of the the panchayat and the recommendations of the CFCs, they are given additional funds. Then we have the special category grants. So these grants are additional financial support designed to address unique challenges or particular needs of PRS in specific regions. Okay, now suppose some region is facing some kind of a disaster. For that, they'll be given separately, unique to that particular case. Okay, then we have the other sources. What are the other sources? They are transfers from central government and state government under different schemes like Narega, then Awas Yojana, Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana. Okay, plus sometimes the grants are also given from international bodies like the World Bank, etc. Okay, so what is the importance of PRS for development? It is creation of social infrastructure. Then it accelerates implementation of government schemes, localization of sustainable development goals, enables rural development, beacon for women empowerment, primary credible source for all of those things. It is basically, like I said, it is a participatory form of governance, right? So it ensures a stakeholder approach. Okay, so on these lines you can write other important features of why is it significance of PRIs basically. So what are the initiatives taken to improve financial ecosystems of PRI? E-Gram Swaraj. It is a user-friendly web-based portal for decentralized planning, progress reporting, and work-based accounting. Then we have the Gram Panchayat Development Plan, GPDP, in which it develops, the plans are prepared in a participatory manner under People's Plan campaign. Then we have the Rashtriya Gram Swaraj Abhiyan. What it does, it aims to strengthen capacities of institutions for rural local governance to become more responsive towards local development needs. So I hope you've understood, and make sure that you go through these articles also. Sometimes that is also asked. Okay, now we will deal with the municipal elections. So what are the municipal elections? They refer to the elections held to elect representatives for local urban governing bodies. Okay, you guys tell me if anyone is also you can comment which amendment for ULBs. Which amendment was it? It was the 74th amendment. Okay, so the elections are held as per the Municipal Corporation Act framed by the legislature of the respective state government. Whereas elections for the municipalities and town panchayats are held as per the respective municipal act. So there are different kinds of elections for municipalities and the corporations. So what are the constitutional provisions related to municipalities? First of all, we have the composition of municipalities, which is the Article 243R. All the seats in a municipality shall be filled by persons chosen by direct election from the territorial constituencies in the municipal area. So each municipality is divided into areas called wards, and there will be a direct election, and from that particular ward, a person will be elected. Then secondly, we have reservation of seats, Article 243T. Okay, seats are reserved for weaker sections, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, women, and other groups as per the respective municipalities act. What do you mean by that? It means as per the state. Okay, it is a compulsory reservation for women and SC/STs and other groups. Suppose there is a particular group in particular state which is a little backward, so the state can provide reservation for that particular group as well. What is the duration of municipalities? So it is 5 years from the date appointed for its first meeting. Municipality elections are required to be completed before the expiration of the duration of the municipality. So if the municipality is dissolved before the expiry of 5 years, the elections for constituting a new municipalities are required to be completed within a period of 6 months from the date of dissolution. Same like panchayats. Okay, then there is a state election commission, which is the Article 243ZA. The superintendent's direction and control of the preparation of electoral rolls for and the conduct of all elections to the municipality shall be vested in the SEC. So SEC is responsible for the elections. Okay, so there are three categories of urban local governance. First of all, we have the Nagar Panchayat for transitional areas. Okay, for matlab those areas are in a transition from a rural to an urban area. Then we have the municipal council. It is for smaller urban areas, and we have the municipal corporation for the larger urban area. So respectively, we had different acts. For municipal council, we had this particular act, right? And for the corporation, we have the municipal corporation act. Okay, moving forward. So what is a municipal corporation? The municipal corporation has three authorities: the council, the standing committee, and the commissioner. So what is the council? It comprises councillors, and it is the deliberative and legislative wing of the corporation. And that particular thing is headed by a mayor, and he is assisted by a deputy mayor. Though the mayor is an ornamental figure, he is recognized as the first citizen of the city. Then we have the municipal commissioner, which carries out the decisions made by the council and its committees. Indian cities largely follow the commissioner as chief executive, CACE model, as opposed to the directly elected executive model, D model. Okay, so we have the case model. Okay, that is the commissioner. And who is the directly elected person is the mayor. Like earlier mentioned, he is just ornamental or de jure, and the commissioner is de facto. Alright. So here is a further differentiation between the two. In the deem model, we have the stronger mayor, and in the case model, we have the stronger commissioner. Okay, so each state has its own laws for setting up municipalities, outlining their duties, and etc. Okay, so this is, you can, it is not one size fit all, you can fit as per need for each state. Okay, let's move forward now. We'll talk about the internal emergency. So what is emergency? The emergency provisions are outlined in Article 352 to Article 360 under the Part 18 of the Constitution. Emergency is a situation where democratic rights of people are suspended and central government assumes power over state governments. Okay, so this is not conventional, it is non-conventional. Conventionally, what happens is that center does the center duties. Okay, the central government, which will take care of the center. And then we have a state government, which takes care of the state. So during emergency, what happens is this state government is, no longer in power of the state. So who takes over? The center takes over. The suspension of fundamental rights during emergency was incorporated from the Weimar Constitution of Germany. Okay, so let us now understand the types of emergencies. First of all, we have the national emergency. So what is that? National emergency is President may, on advice of the cabinet headed by the Prime Minister, issue a proclamation of emergency if security of India or any part of the country is threatened by war or external aggression, which is the external emergency, or armed rebellion, which is the internal emergency. All right, I hope you understand the difference between the two now. When you say external emergency, it means war or external aggression. And internal emergency is armed rebellion within the country. Okay, and the national emergency is Article 352. So till now, 3 times an emergency has been imposed in India. First was in 1962, then in 1971 on the grounds of war. This was the Sino-Indian war. Second one was the Pakistan and India war. And 1975 was due to the internal disturbance. Okay. This ground of internal disturbance was substituted by armed rebellion by the Constitution Amendment Act of 1978, which is the 44th Amendment. So understand the difference. So when this particular emergency was declared, it was still called internal disturbance. Okay. So after the amendment, then it was called as armed rebellion, because this is very specific. Internal disturbance can be anything, right? It is a very umbrella term, but armed rebellion is very specific. Okay, so firstly we have the national emergency, then we have the president's rule or the state emergency. That is the Article 356, and it is an emergency due to the failure of constitutional machinery in states. Then thirdly, we have the financial emergency. What happens in that? It is due to the threat of financial stability or credit of India or any part of the territory. This is the Article 360. So let us understand the procedure of proclamation of emergency. So for the approval, it must be approved by both houses of parliament within 1 month from date of its issue. Alright, from both the houses, matlab Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha should approve within 1 month from the date of its issue. If approved by both houses, emergency continues for 6 months and can be extended to an indefinite period with an approval of the parliament every 6 months. Okay. So approval is needed every 6 months. Each time you approve, it is valid for 6 months. Then again, suppose again you need it, again you approve it for another 6 months. Every resolution approving the proclamation of emergency or its continuance must be passed by either house of parliament by a special majority. Okay. So the first time you need both the houses, and when you want the continuance of the emergency, for that you need just either of the houses by a special majority, and this was added in the 44th Amendment Act of 1978. Then what is the procedure for revocation? Revocation matlab removal. So it can be revoked by president by at any time by a subsequent proclamation and does not require parliamentary approval. And the resolution for disapproval of continuation of national emergency is required to be passed by Lok Sabha by a simple majority. Okay, so let's move forward now. The next topic is proportional representation. So this is the, for elections, to decide a winner, we have different types. So we have the first past the post system, and then we have the proportional representation. So in India, we follow this first past the post. Okay, so to understand properly, we will deal with it, in a differentiating format, so that you understand that particular aspect for both, for the FPTP and also the proportional representation. So you know that the first aspect for both of them is the geographical unit. What happens in the FPTP is that the country is divided into small geographical units called constituencies. Okay, you can relate this to India, right? We have small geographical units and it is called constituencies. In proportional representation, PR and FPTP. Okay, in PR, what happens? The large geographical areas are demarcated as constituencies, and sometimes the entire single country may also be one single constituency. Okay, but that is not the case in FPTP. We have smaller constituencies. Then secondly, we have the representation. What happens in our case, in the FPTP case, is every constituency elects one representative. Here what happens? More than one representative may be elected from one constituency. Okay, so you're only one elected. Here it can be more than one. What is the voting process? For FPTP, voters vote for a candidate. Correct? We have an MP or an MLA. Okay, and we vote for that particular person. But in proportional representation, what happens? Voters vote for the entire party. Okay, how about the seat distribution? In FPTP, a party may get more seats than the votes in the legislature. Okay, the winning candidate may not secure the majority of 50 plus 1 votes. What this basically means is that, suppose there are 3 parties, 3 political parties, and there are 10 people who are going to give them votes. Okay, no, let's make it more simple. We'll just take 2 parties and 10 people. 2 parties and 10 people. Okay, so for this one party to win, you need 5, the half, 50% plus 1 of votes. So iska 50%, 10 people ka 50% would be 5 plus 1. Okay, 6 votes for this particular party to win. But what happens in case of 3 parties? Okay, again, in case of 3 parties, suppose you just, it is not necessary that everyone, the winning party should get more than 50%. What they should get is more than the others, basically. Okay, suppose one particular party is not getting anything, so it is automatically out of the race, and the winning party should have more votes than the other party. And in PR, what happens is every party gets the seat in legislature in proportion to the percentage of votes it receives. Okay, and here it is not that case. A party may get more votes in the legislature, but it can get lesser seats. Okay, but here the representation is also, the seat distribution is also based on the votes. Okay, what is the examples of this for the FPTP? We have US, UK, Canada, India. And for the proportional representation, the examples is Israel and Netherlands. What is the benefits? This is simple to understand for common voters. Okay, it facilitates formation of stable government. It encourages voters from different social groups to come together to win an election in a locality. Okay. And what is the benefit of the proportional representation? It ensures representation of all parties based on their vote share. Like how it was discussed earlier. And here is a fairer treatment of minority parties and independent candidates. Okay, like I told here, if one party doesn't get any vote, then it has no representation at all. Okay, so this is a little bit fairer for the independent parties and minority parties. So even if they get some votes, they still have representation. This was not the case here. Okay, suppose one party is just getting 1 vote of the 10 votes. Still, who will win? The person who had got more parties. So this particular party has no representation. Okay, and fewer votes are wasted as people's preferences are taken into account. Okay, so what are the concerns of the FPTP? Concerns is there is over or under representation of political parties compared to their vote share. Okay, sometimes people they can get a lot of seats in the legislature while they had not got a lot of votes. Okay, and it does not ensure due representation for minorities. This can lead to fragmented legislature with multiple small parties. Yes, and it may lead to coalition governments, which can be less stable in parliamentary democracy. That's why the FPTP is called stable. It is a stable form of it forms stable form of government. Okay, but we didn't adopt PR system for the India. Okay, for our country. Why? Because it was difficulty for voters to understand. It is a little complex as compared to the simple majority, the first past the post system. It is unsuitable to parliamentary government because we have this system. We need a stable government, but like the PR was a little bit unstable, so that is not suiting us. It is highly expensive and does not give any scope for organizing by-elections. Okay, the by-elections, right? If somebody dies or something happens, so there is another election taken. the by-elections are taken place. So it is very expensive. It eliminates intimate contracts between voters and representatives. It increases significance of party system and decreases that of the voter. Okay, so the party system is more significant as compared to the voter in PR. Okay, next we will deal with the legislative impact assessment. So why was it in news? Because the Supreme Court called for a legislative impact assessment of the Maharashtra Slum Areas Act. So what is LIA basically? It is a framework for assessing the long-term impact of laws before they are implemented. So it examines legal, economic, social, and environmental effects of legislation. So what are the challenges in India? India lacks a formal LIA framework. Like you saw here, the Supreme Court has called for it. There is no formal framework for it. Okay, so it leads to poor legislative outcomes. There is weak data collection and monitoring systems which hinder the law evaluation. And there is no independent institution which is dedicated to review such impacts. Okay, so what could be the way forward? We can establish a national legislative impact authority under Niti Aayog. Yes, we can make pre-legislation impact studies mandatory for all major laws, and we can use analytics, AI, ML to predict the effectiveness of the new policies. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
With this, we have completed the parliamentary functions, the state legislatives and local bodies. Now we will deal with the elections. Okay, first of all, the electoral bond scheme. This was in news. Why was it in news? Because the Supreme Court in the Association for Democratic Reforms and another versus Union of India and others unanimously struck down the electoral bond scheme, right? ADR versus Union of India. Okay, so the court had struck down the scheme. So what was electoral bonds? It was a bond issued in the name of in the nature of a promissory note. Okay, what do you mean by that? It means that so the bearer of that promissory note can give that particular note to the bank, and the bank will give them money. Okay, and what was the unique thing that was there with the electoral bond scheme is that the promissory note shall not carry the name of the buyer or the payee. Okay, so what were the features of electoral bonds? They were issued to the purchaser on a non-refundable basis. Yes, it could be purchased by a citizen of India or a body incorporated in India, and it will be eligible to purchase the bond from authorized branches of the State Bank of India. Okay, it could be used for donating only to the registered political parties which secured not less than 1% of votes polled in the last general election to the Lok Sabha or a legislative assembly. Okay, the scheme was actually aimed to increase transparency, but the Supreme Court said otherwise. Okay, in the EVM VVPAT, okay, there is this another case which was ADR again. So ADR versus EC. In that case, the court has given certain judgment according about the VVPATs. Okay, so what is the EVM and what is the VVPAT? We will get through in a few time. Let us first understand the key judgments. So about the verification of VVPAT. So court acknowledged the fundamental right of voters to ensure their vote is accurately recorded and counted. However, it clarified that this does not equate to the right to count all the VVPAT slips or to physically access these slips. So VVPAT is basically what, guys? There is this EVM. So EVM is electronic voting machine, and it has symbol and then the party name, and then you can click on that button if you are voting for that party. VVPAT is what? VVPAT will give you a slip. Okay. And whenever you press, suppose you are voting for X party. So at the same time, VVPAT will give you a slip which says that you have voted for X party. Okay. So what the court said that it is the fundamental right of the voters to ensure that their vote is accurately recorded. So this system, it shows that the vote that you actually gave to that party is actually been recorded over there. Okay. So that is the fundamental right, but it is not, however, it clarified that this does not equate to the right to count all VVPAT slips or to physically access these slips. Okay. Then secondly, there was this direction to enhance public confidence in the EVM VVPAT. The court issued following two directions: strengthening of symbol loading unit SLU protocol. So on completion of the symbol loading process in the VVPAT, the SLU shall be sealed and secured in containers which shall be signed by candidates or their representatives. And the verification of burnt memory. Verification of the burnt memory semi-controller of 5% of EVMs per assembly segment of parliamentary constituency. So this is with respect to the VVPATs and the candidates. Okay. So which state was the first to use VVPAT? Goa, during its 2017 Legislative Assembly elections. Okay, we will see the journey. So in 1982, EVMs were first used in an assembly by-election in Kerala. Then in 1989, the Representation of People Act 1951 was amended to permit EVM use. In 2004, EVMs were adopted for general elections and have been used in all elections since. Okay, the Supreme Court mandated VVPAT used in Subramaniam Swamy versus Election of Commission of India case. And 2019, Supreme Court ruled in N. Chandrababu Naidu and others versus Union of India that 5 EVMs per assembly constituency or assembly segment in a parliamentary constituency must undergo VVPAT verification. Okay, so what is the EVM? EVM is a portable microcontroller based instrument designed to modernize election process. It is manufactured and supplied to the ECI by Bharat Electronics Limited. Okay. BAIL, under the Ministry of Defense and Electronic Corporation of India, ECIL, under the Department of Atomic Energy. Okay, this is important. So what does it consist? It consists of 3 units. First of all, the ballot unit, which functions like a key. You must have seen when you go to vote, there is this thing, right? Then we have the control unit, which is called the master, and it remains with the polling and presiding officer. So you can't see it, but it is with the officer. Then we have the VVPAT. VVPAT is what? It allows the voter to verify that their votes are cast as intended. Like I said, you are voting for this particular party, the VVPAT will give you a slip saying that you vote for that particular party. When a vote is cast, a slip is printed containing the serial number and name and symbol of the candidate. This slip is visible through a transparent window for 7 seconds before it automatically cuts and drops in the sealed box. Okay. So by this, I think we will conclude today's lecture. Okay. So thank you for watching this video, and tomorrow we will do the rest of the elections part and some other topic. And I hope that you are liking this initiative. And please subscribe to our channel. You can share this with your friends who are also planning for preparing for UPSC, this prelims. And you can find the particular PDF of this current affairs in our Telegram channel. The link and everything will be given to you it is given below. Okay, thank you once again.